13, he no longer had political immunity, so he was charged and convicted with stock manipulation, money laundering, and insider trading. But before he could be sent to prison, he mysteriously disappeared, and he hasn't been found since. But it's been speculated that he's hiding out in mainland China. The Big Circle Gang. Despite having a name that sounds like something your group of friends came up with during recess in first grade, the Big Circle Gang were no children, right? These were some bad mother suckers. They were originally members of the Chinese Red Guard, which was a paramilitary organization that helped Mao get into power. But after getting too out of control and clashing with the Chinese military, many of the members were sent to prison, where they would later escape and flee to Hong Kong. They dominated the drug trade in multiple cities in Hong Kong, and in the 90s they started to grow a presence in Canada. Today they control a big portion of the heroin and fentanyl distribution in Canada. The Kamikaze Raiders are a biker gang based in Belgium with ties to Islamic extremism. Now, you may think of biker gangs as a bunch of big burly white dudes in black leather jackets, but not these guys. Most members of the Kamikazes were of Moroccan descent, and despite their Japanese name and imagery, key members of the group closely associated with jihadists, specifically ISIS. Multiple members of the group, including their founder, were arrested and charged for a terrorist plot they intended to carry out in Belgium. Aum Shinrikyo. Aum Shinrikyo was a cult founded in the 1980s by Shoko Asahara, a man who claimed to not only be Jesus Christ, but also the new Buddha. The belief system of Aum Shinrikyo was a combination of Buddhism, Hinduism, and Christianity, and by 1989, the group was officially recognized as a religion by the Japanese government. And you know what that means? No taxes, baby! Anyways, Asahara picked up a pretty large following at the time with thousands of members worldwide. People were so obsessed with Asahara that they paid top dollar for his hair and bathwater. Good grief, this guy was like the original Belle Delphine. As Asahara's influence grew, he became more and more psychopathic. He gradually began to spread a message that World War III was around the corner and it would lead to a nuclear war that would destroy most of the world. And of course, anybody who followed him would survive. He planned to create an army so he could speed up World War III happening, and then after, the nuclear apocalypse happened, he would take over what was left of the Japanese government, and once the world was in Fallout 4 mode, he would eventually take over what was left of all of civilization. In order to accomplish their goals, Aum members became increasingly violent. They began creating chemical weapons, stockpiling firearms, assassinating politicians, and killing detractors of the movement. They were also involved in multiple terrorist attacks, including the most well-known, the Tokyo subway sarin gas attack. This was a coordinated terrorist attack which released sarin gas, an extremely toxic chemicals, in the air vents of Tokyo subway trains during rush hour. The attack took the lives of 14 people and injured thousands. All of the members involved were arrested and Asahara himself was executed. Despite all of that, the group continued to exist after the Tokyo subway attacks. In fact, it still exists today. The original Aum split into two groups, Aleph and Hikari no Wa. Wu Bang. Hailing from the slums of Shaolin, this group is comprised of members the RZA, the Jizza, Old Dirty Bastard, Inspector Deck, Raekwon the Chef, U-God, Ghostface Killah, and the Method Man. Oh wait, that's the Wu-Tang Clan. The Wu-Bang Clan is something completely different. Alright, I'm gonna be completely honest, I couldn't find shit about this one. I spent a solid 10 minutes trying. The only thing I could find about Wu-Bang is this Urban Dictionary definition. So do with that what you will. The Los Santos Street Gang. Okay, I think the guy who made this iceberg must be pulling my leg or something, because this is clearly from GTA San Andreas, right? Islander 23. I couldn't find a ton of information about these guys, but here's what I did find. Islander 23 is a gang of Pacific Islanders, and their territory is in Melbourne, Australia. The gang came to prominence in 2016 after a massive brawl with members from another gang called Apex. According to this article, about 200 members of the Apex and Islander 23 gangs turned Federation Square into an absolute riot zone. The Domush Clan. The Domush Clan is a Palestinian crime family of Turkish origin. They've reportedly been involved in extortion, smuggling, arms dealing, and killing of rivals in the Gaza Strip. They've been called the Sopranos of Gaza. They became infamous when they kidnapped British journalist Alan Johnson, and the Domush Clan also clashed with Hamas on multiple occasions since Hamas took control of the Gaza Strip. One of these incidents in 2008 involved a 9-hour-long firefight with Hamas, which ended with the deaths of 10 of the Klansmen, as well as a police officer and a child. The Wild Gang. Couldn't find anything about a Wild Gang, but maybe this is referring to Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch? I have no idea, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. This gang was popularized by the classic Western film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The Wild Bunch were the most successful train robbing gang in history. I'm pretty sure the Vanderlyn gang from Red Dead Redemption 2 was actually based on them. Butch Cassidy had a lot of similarities to Dutch and considered himself kind of like an honorable outlaw. The National Socialist Japanese Workers' Party is a neo-Nazi party in Japan. Now, it may shock you to know that they don't like Jews very much, despite the fact that there are less than 2,000 Jews in the entire country of Japan. They also believe that the Japanese monarchy should be abolished and the shogunate should be restored. Sam Gore. Sam Gore is what's known as a super syndicate. What's a super syndicate, you asked? Well, for example, the Italian-American Mafia is a super syndicate. It's comprised of the 5 families of New York, as well as the Chicago outfit and the Buffalo crime family. Sam Gore is also composed of multiple triad groups, including 14K, Big Circle Boys, and Sonny On, who I've mentioned before in this video. Now, it's crazy that Sam Gore isn't more well-known because this shit is huge. They're responsible for between 40 to 70% of all the meth coming out of East Asia, as well as a shit ton of heroin and ketamine and other illegal substances. The leader of the syndicate, Tche Lope, is basically a modern-day Pablo Escobar. Tche actually laid the foundation for Sam Gore in Canada, where he was a member of the Big Circle gang. He was arrested in the 80s while running drugs for the mafia, and after he made some connections in prison, he started going back and forth between Canada and Southeast Asia, setting up alliances, and eventually building one of the biggest drug networks in the world. Next Gen Shooters. So the Next Gen Shooters is a drill gang. A drill gang is a gang of young hoodlums who listen to and make drill music. If you're a boomer like myself and you don't know what drill is, it's a genre of rap that glorifies gang life and street violence. Think Chief Keef, he's like the most famous drill rapper. Most of the artists who make drill music are actually in a drill gang. These types of gangs originated in Chicago's South Side, but are now common in London and Melbourne, Australia. 2 of the most notorious drill gangs in Melbourne are the 1-4 gang and the Next Gen Shooters. The 2 groups have been in a violent turf war for years. Zo Pound is a Haitian street gang based out of Miami. The origins of the gang were basically to protect young Haitian men from other groups in the poorer areas of Miami who were harassing them. At one point, the Zos were one of the largest gangs in South Florida. In recent years, they've branched out to other states and even other countries in the Caribbean, and are thought to have somewhere around 100,000 members worldwide. In addition to trafficking and selling drugs, they've also been known to practice voodoo. Now, what separates the Zos from other gangs like the Bloods and Crips is that they're more organized and highly secretive. So that's why you